This video is not financial advice. Welcome to tracking my Bitcoin portfolio, day 41. My Bitcoin's worth $29,842.69, which is up $855.43 since yesterday. But I also added 284,421 Satoshis to my portfolio. Now I'm going to go into these comments. Okay, this person said, cheers, good luck on your journey. What wallet do you like to use? Thank you for your comment. I appreciate that. And I use multiple wallets because I have a multi-sig setup. But the best wallet to use from the research that I've done is the Coldcard Q. That is like the top of the line, most like agreed upon by the Bitcoin community as like the best wallet. There's a lot of like interesting security features, but you have to be it's not as user friendly. You have to kind of know what you're doing. It's not like super complex. Like if you watch like tutorials and stuff, like you could figure it out, but it's also expensive. Very expensive. It's probably the one of the most expensive ones out there. But if you want a hardware wallet that is cheap and user friendly and it's also secure as well, I would recommend the Blockstream Jade. It's Bitcoin only. The code is open source, and that's kind of what is agreed upon as good features. You want it to be Bitcoin only, because if you have multiple currencies, it creates more complexity and more potential attack vectors, right? Like if you have like a ledger and a ledger has like 500 different currencies. I'm not sure how many, but they have a bunch of different currencies. Well, they have to make it compatible with all those different currencies. It creates more complexity. And if there's more complexity, there could be more potential ways, more attack vectors, you know? So that's you want it to be Bitcoin only. So is the Coldcard Q. And you usually want the code to be open source. There are trade-offs, but if the code is closed source, then you're trusting the people that manufacture the device, that create the device. You're trusting that there's no backdoors or no malicious code or whatever. So it's better that the code is open source so everyone can see it and verify it for themselves. So I'd recommend the Blockstream Jade. Yeah, I would recommend the Blockstream Jade, but there are other devices out there. Like those are kind of just the ones that I've looked into. I've set up three Blockstream Jades. So I have experience. I've used the device, but there are other ones out there. Like there are people who make lots of videos on this stuff. But yeah, I would say like the Blockstream Jade. But if you want to get really technical and you really want to learn, you could buy like the Coldcard Q. I think they also have an older card. They have like two older ones. I think one's called the MK4. I haven't used that one, but I would say that one's also probably secure because it's created by the same company and it's probably cheaper. So I would look into the Coldcard. That's probably like the best one. And you learn a lot. There's a lot to learn. But yeah, thank you for your comment. Okay, this person said, are you 100% Bitcoin? Or do you own any stocks? If 100%, do you typically use any extra dollars to buy Bitcoin right away? Yeah, so I'm 100% Bitcoin. I used to own the S&P 500. Like I've always been interested in money in investing. So when I was a little bit younger, I decided, okay, I need to invest this money because obviously the currency's going down. I didn't have as good as an understanding as I do now, but when I was around like 18 or 19, I was like, okay, I got to start investing money. And so I started putting it into the S&P 500 and it did actually go up. I made a good amount of money there. But then I started to really look into Bitcoin and it just made a lot more sense to me. Like I want to be able to live a self-sovereign life. I don't want to have to depend on or other people have control over me. Here, I'll give you an example. So I'm from Canada, and if you want to invest tax-free, you have to invest in a TFSA, which is a tax-free savings account. It should be called a tax-free investing account because that's what it's actually used for. But basically, it's a place to invest money tax-free, and there's a certain amount that you're allowed to invest that the government lets you invest each year. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to go invest into the S&P 500 through that account, but you still have to pay taxes on the dividends. So that's just like a little thing. I'm not saying this is like my entire reasoning, but So in a tax-free savings account, I have to pay taxes on my dividends because the it's uh the S&P 500 is American. So even if you're investing in Canadian ones that are tracking, you still have to pay the taxes on the dividends. Okay, in a tax-free savings account. So little things like that bother me. Like it's really annoying. Like I don't like being taken advantage of. And then there are also reasons as to why I switched to Bitcoin is because I believe that Bitcoin is the safest possible investment with the highest possible returns. So I'm not saying that Bitcoin is the safest investment and it's going to give you the highest returns. You combine the two and you create the hurdle rate. If you can't beat it, you have to join it. And there are other reasons. Like if you go to my past videos, there are other reasons as to why I invest into Bitcoin. But I believe that Bitcoin is just simply a better investment. It has more potential. Yes, it's going to be more volatile, but I'm willing to wait I'm in it for the long term, and I believe that it will outperform the S&P 500. Now, I'm not against the S&P 500. I'm not against investing into other things. I just believe that Bitcoin has more potential, and that's just my opinion. So that's why I invest my money into Bitcoin. And then you also said, do I invest any extra dollars to buy Bitcoin right away? So, when sending money to my hardware wallet, I like to make sure it's a good amount because you don't want to be sending a bunch of small transactions to your hardware wallet because it just creates a bunch of separate transactions. So then the fees get more expensive because then your wallet has to consolidate like 100 transactions if you send a bunch of small ones. So usually I'll wait until I have like $1,000 and then send it from in exchange to my hardware wallet. So it's larger transactions. So I don't like put it in like right away, but usually like I'll wait like a week or so, or maybe 2 weeks, and then I'll send it to my hardware wallet once I have like a decent amount. So yeah, I hope I answered your question. Thank you for your comment. Okay, this person said, great concept. I wish you best of luck with your journey. My questions are, what convinced you to have zero stocks, not even S&P 500 ETF? And how do your parents think of Bitcoin and the people around you? Greetings from the Netherlands. Thank you for your comment. I appreciate that. So yeah, I own zero stocks, but I'm not anti the S&P 500. I'm not anti, businesses. Obviously, we live in a society where people need to provide goods and services to other people, so that requires the businesses. So I'm not anti stocks, I'm not anti collectibles, I'm not anti precious metals, I'm not anti other investments. I just believe that there needs to be a global monetary network that's fair and just for everyone, because fiat currency is being debased by the government, which in my opinion causes significant problems within society. So what I'm doing is I'm just making an asymmetric bet and saying that Bitcoin is undervalued, and most people don't understand that, in my opinion. And so I'm basically just making that bet and saying that Bitcoin is going to continue to rise over a long period of time because it is it's scarce. There's a finite amount, and governments are going to keep on debasing the currency. So over a long period of time, inflation is compounding, and I believe that Bitcoin will continue to go up. And it also, because the natural state of the economy is deflationary, and because Bitcoin will dematerialize other investments that are being used as money. So those are, and there are other reasons as well. But yeah, so what convinced me to own zero stocks? Simply because I believe Bitcoin is a better investment. I believe that Bitcoin is the safest possible investment with the highest possible returns. I'm not saying it's the safest investment. I'm not saying it's going to give you the highest returns. I'm combining the two, and I'm creating the hurdle rate. If you can't beat the hurdle rate, you have to join it. Okay, so that's my opinion. Are there going to be stocks that outperform Bitcoin? Yeah, of course. There's going to be other investments that outperform Bitcoin, and that's okay. I'm not looking for these other investments. I just want something that is guaranteed to rise, but to make the most amount of money, the safest possible investment with the highest possible returns. And I believe that's Bitcoin. So obviously, I have to invest all my money into Bitcoin. Like some people would say like diversification. I completely disagree. I completely disagree. Like diversification is only effective if you have a very, very large net worth. If you're someone who does not have a large net worth and you are diversifying, you're just gonna to continue to be poor. You're just gonna make sure that you're poor, in my opinion. Like it doesn't really make sense to me. If you want to actually build wealth, you need to pick the safest possible investment with the highest possible returns, and you need to ride that out over a long period of time. And I know there's going to be people that disagree with that and say, diversification is good. I disagree with you. I believe that diversification is only effective when you have a large net worth and you're just trying to keep it. If you're someone who is, poor or, middle class, and you're diversifying, you're just gonna be stuck there forever. So I don't really see the point in that. So I'm making an asymmetric bet. I believe most people, they don't understand. Like most people, they don't understand, and I'm making an asymmetric bet that Bitcoin will continue to rise. Okay, now let's see what else you said. And how do your parents think of Bitcoin and the people around you? Yeah, so my parents are pro Bitcoin, but obviously like my parents don't understand it to the extent that I do, which is okay. My parents weren't born digitally native. Like they grew up kind of before technology, so they're not going to like understand it to the extent that I do, which is fine. But yeah, they are pro Bitcoin. Like they believe that like scarcity matters, and the government's debasing the currency, causing inflation. Like the price is rising. Like they don't like that. So they're pro Bitcoin, but they're not like they're not going to invest all of their money into Bitcoin because that would take a lot of conviction, and it's hard for older people to do that, and that's fine. I'm not going to be like, put all your money into Bitcoin, even though I think that it does make sense. I'm not going to tell other people what to do with their money. And then you also said people around me. Most people, most people don't. I would say don't understand it. Most people don't understand it. They don't think it's like like completely useless. Like there is merit. Like most people kind of do recognize, the people that I'm around do recognize that there is a merit to this, but they're not as fully convinced, which is fine. Like everyone has their own opinions. That's completely fine. I'm not like, saying this guy's an idiot, this guy's an idiot. I just disagree, and I'm gonna ride this out over a long period of time. And everyone, that's what it's all about. Like I'm not gonna tell other people what to do with their money. That's not what I'm about. But I'm just sharing my opinion. But yeah, thank you for your comment. I appreciate that. This person said, "You are winning. Great job. Love the channel idea as well." Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I like how you just said you are winning. I appreciate that. Okay, and then Forrest Huddle said, "Since you use ShakePay, do you shake every day?" I was on a pretty good streak, but I forgot one day. But I've gotten back into it. But no, I don't. I'm just I kind of forgot one day. But yeah, I should. And what he's talking about is that if you shake on ShakePay, it gives you like free Bitcoin. For those of you who don't know, it gives you like 20 Satoshis, and it adds up if you keep on being consistent. But I lost my streak, so but thank you for your comment, Forrest. This person says, "Love it, bro. Keep going." Thank you very much. I appreciate that. This person says, "Can you please put these updates in a playlist?" Maybe. I'm not really sure what I would gain from that. Like I'm not like I guess after the video ends, it just automatically starts playing the next video. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe not though, but thank you for your comment. Cool idea. Keep grinding. Thoughts about making larger buys when BTC under the 200 moving weekly average. That was almost hit when BTC went down to 59K. Thanks TTYL Skull. Not sure what that means, but yeah, like ideally, like it does make sense to buy Bitcoin when it crashes. Like obviously when Bitcoin's down, it makes sense to buy it because you're getting more Bitcoin. But I have a very strong opinion on this. You can't predict the market. No matter how many charts you show me, no matter how many people you have making predictions, no matter what the media says, no matter what it says on social media, you cannot predict the market. the reason why you can't predict okay, unless you have insider information. If you have insider information, there are certain instances where you can. But the general rule of thumb that I follow is you cannot predict the market. Here's the reason why. There are three different outcomes that can happen. It can go up, it can stay the same, it can go down. Okay, that's a limited amount of outcomes. Okay, you have millions of people making predictions on what's going to happen. Bitcoin's going to go up tomorrow. It's going to go down. Bitcoin's going to stay the same. Bitcoin will be up a week from now. Okay, so out of those millions of people making predictions, of course, there are going to be people that make a correct prediction. They said Bitcoin will be up a week from now, and it's up. They made a correct prediction. Okay, but I would argue that that is just basic probability. Okay, there are a limited amount of outcomes, three outcomes, millions of people making predictions. Of course, there's going to be a guy that predicts it 7 times in a row, predicts it 10 times in a row, 20 times in a row. It's basic probability. So just because someone looked at a chart and said this is going to go here because of this, and it happens, and they make another prediction and they make another prediction, it doesn't mean that their reasoning is correlated with the actual market. Okay? And a lot of people are going to hear that and be like, oh, like all those traders out there, and that is my opinion. You can't predict the market unless you have insider information. Then there are certain instances, but a general rule of thumb, you can't predict the market. So when I have fiat currency, I buy Bitcoin. But yeah, if Bitcoin were to crash, yeah, I would try and get as much money as I could, and I would try and buy more. But that's the problem. I don't know if Bitcoin is going to crash. What about if Bitcoin goes up 10% a month from now? Okay, what about another 10%? What about another 10%? So you can't predict the market. But thank you for your comment. I appreciate that. Okay, this person said, looks like you've been investing more into Bitcoin, and that makes sense if you're bullish on it long term. But if you want cash flow and ability to monetize Bitcoin in ways other than your YouTube channel, institutions and instruments like MSTR are going to be one of the ways to do it. I've heard about ways to do Bitcoin loans where you put up Bitcoin as collateral. Not sure how, but that's dangerous business unless you're borrowing at very low loan to value ratio. What do you think are the ideal ways for someone to make their Bitcoin more liquid for everyday use? Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I wouldn't invest a penny into MSTR. I'm not saying MSTR is a scam. I'm not saying it's going to collapse. I just believe that Bitcoin is the underlying asset, and anything that is built on top of Bitcoin, trying to amplify Bitcoin, you're taking on too much risk. The universe doesn't lie. Okay? The universe doesn't lie. You build something on top of Bitcoin. I'm not saying it's a stupid idea, but you take on more risk. Okay? What if Bitcoin goes into a 5-year bear market? Okay? Is MSTR going to be doing well in that situation? I don't think so. And so I don't want to be holding something that isn't Bitcoin in a severe bear market, and that thing is built on top of Bitcoin. I don't like that. I don't like that. Are there financial instruments that are built on top of Bitcoin where you could make passive income, or you could monetize your Bitcoin? Yes, there are. But you guys have to understand that I am so pro Bitcoin. Okay, I am so pro Bitcoin that I buy the Bitcoin and I self custody it. Okay, and so when I talk about monetizing the Bitcoin, I'm talking about my actual Bitcoin that I have in self custody. I'm not talking about trying to make passive income from buying a certain stock or a certain financial instrument. I'm talking about the actual Bitcoin. Like my financial foundation has to be Bitcoin self-custody. How do I monetize that? So that you have to understand that I'm not trying to make money. I'm not trying to make passive income. I'm trying to monetize actual Bitcoin. Okay? So so yeah, I'm not saying what you're saying is stupid, But what I'm doing is trying to monetize actual Bitcoin. I'm not trying to monetize MSTR or trying to invest money to try and make money. I'm trying to just monetize actual Bitcoin, like actual Bitcoin, not paper Bitcoin, not pretend, like actual Bitcoin, like literally actual in self custody. I have the private keys. So that's the difference. But I'll read it over. I'll read it over again. Yeah, you talk about getting loans. Yeah, I would never like, is it possible to take out a loan, use your Bitcoin as collateral, buy more Bitcoin, Bitcoin rises, and you make a decent amount of money, and you can put that money into Bitcoin? Yes, that's possible, but you're taking on too much risk. Bitcoin doesn't care about your feelings. Bitcoin could crash and it could stay down for the next 2 years. Bitcoin does not care about your feelings. Okay. So you have to respect the asset. You have to buy Bitcoin and you have to self custody it and you have to hold it over a long period of time. It's not a get rich quick, it's a build wealth slow. And it could be really slow. It could be, I don't even know it, but it could be slow. Like Bitcoin doesn't care about my feelings. So you guys have to be careful, because if you put your head out trying to make a little bit more money, you might get your head chopped off. Okay? I'm just being straight up with you guys. So I'd be careful. I'd be careful with everything that's built on top of Bitcoin in terms of financial instruments. Obviously, there are good things built on top of Bitcoin, like Lightning, like layer twos and stuff. But if we're talking about financial instruments, I would be careful. I'd be careful. That's just my opinion, though. But I'll read it over again. Okay, what do you think the ideal way for someone to make their Bitcoin more liquid for everyday use? I would say just learning how to use Lightning, learning, like having like a Lightning wallet. Like that's something that I've done recently. I wouldn't store all of your money in a Lightning wallet. Just have like the same amount of money that you would have in your actual wallet. Like maybe just a couple $100. And if you ever go to a place that accepts Lightning payments, Bitcoin Lightning payments, then you can just use Lightning to go and pay for something. But I'm not really sure what you mean. Like make Bitcoin more liquid for everyday use. It's pretty like if we're talking about like everyday use, like right now, it's pretty difficult to use Bitcoin because not many places accept Bitcoin. I believe that over a long period of time, Bitcoin needs to become a store of value, surpass gold, and then eventually it'll be used as as an actual currency more often. But we're just kind of early in this, kind of early. But yeah, like to be honest, I couldn't really give you any good advice on that. I know there's places where you can buy certain gift cards, like use your Bitcoin to buy a gift card and then use that gift card to shop at a specific place. I haven't done any of that, so I can't really give you the best advice. But I would say learning how to use Lightning, having a Lightning wallet, and then maybe looking for more videos on YouTube, because I can't really give you the best advice because I haven't done that myself. Just to be completely honest with you, but there definitely are ways. Like one of the ways is definitely like being able to buy gift cards on certain websites. I haven't done that yet. I haven't done that, but I know that that is an option. But yeah, I can't really give you like any advice on that. But thank you for your a comment. I appreciate that. Now, this person said, "Are you not concerned about publicly disclosing your BTC position?" No, I take security very seriously, and I feel like I'm pursuing something that is very meaningful. I'm trying to just do something that is meaningful. I'm not gonna like sit on my hands and say, you know what, that's too dangerous. I'm just gonna watch TV. That's too dangerous. Maybe it is dangerous. Maybe something does happen to me if I am right about Bitcoin, but so be it. I have to pursue what is most meaningful, and I'll take security as best as I can. But if something happens to me, so be it. Like I'm not gonna sit on my hands and just watch TV. It's not something that I can do. That's not an option for me. I need to keep my mind busy, and I need to pursue something every day, so that I'm able to actually get up in the morning. Like if there's nothing for me to do, it'll drive me crazy. So I understand what you're saying. Like, yeah, it's not ideal for me to tell people how much Bitcoin I own. I've never said it's a good idea, like in that way, but I'm trying to monetize the Bitcoin. There's a reason why I'm doing this. I'm not trying to just tell people how much money I have just because I want to tell people. It's because I want to monetize the Bitcoin and I'm pursue something meaningful. But yeah, thank you for your comment though. Thanks for looking out for me. Bitcoiners aren't smart enough to calculate return on investment, which is the only metric that matters anyway. Yeah, I would disagree with that, but thanks for your comment. He never responded to my comment, lol. Get his money from his daddy. That's not sometimes all the comments, like YouTube doesn't show me all the comments sometimes. So if I ever miss your comment, it's not because I avoided it, it's because YouTube just doesn't show all of them. But no, I didn't get all of this money from my dad. My parents have definitely helped out by not kicking me onto the street, but I've worked at a job for a while now and have been investing in Bitcoin for a while now. But you can think whatever you want, but thank you for your comment. Now I'm going to go with this one. I love your point of being against capital gains taxes. I have thought of this before because you have to invest you just to keep up with inflation, and most returns are just a result of monetary debasement. I think short term could stay, but long term should definitely be removed, in my opinion. Not that this will happen in the U.S. Yeah, I would. To be honest with you though, like even short term, like you work at your job, okay? You provide a particular service that you know how to do, okay? So that's providing other people with value. Then you get paid, and then once, or sorry, you get paid later, and the taxes are automatically deducted off of your paycheck. Like there's a bunch of different taxes if you look at your pay stub. So that money has already been taxed, okay? And then you're supposed to and then you invest that money to avoid currency debasement causing inflation, which devalues the currency. Okay, so you invest to avoid that, and then obviously when it goes up, represented in fiat currency, you're expected to pay capital gains, but it's not inflation adjusted capital gains. So I believe you shouldn't have to pay any capital gains on the money that you've earned at your job. I know that might disagree with that, but like you've already paid taxes on that money. So like that's just my opinion, but your opinion isn't ridiculous. Like if that's what you think, that's not, yeah, like long term, because inflation, I understand what you're saying is that inflation is less of a thing short term. So if you make a bunch of money in the short term, then that is your actual gain. So then you should pay taxes. But I would argue that the money that you originally invested was already taxed at your job. So like why should that be taxed again just because you made a good investment? I don't even then I don't even agree with that. But yeah, it's a fair, like if that's what you think, that's I'm not going to say that's a stupid opinion. And then you said not that this will happen in the US. Yeah, like like governments are going to do what's best for government. Like so that leads to problems. That's why I'm more in favor of like a smaller I feel like the best type of government is a more of like a smaller government. Like when you have this giant government, a two-party system, it creates just so much fraud and so much corruption. And so obviously, like, is this ever going to happen in the US? Obviously not. So yeah, you're definitely right about that. Like it's just, it's just the bigger the government, the more corruption and fraud. And the only way to avoid that, in my opinion, is to have a smaller government. Like for example, imagine if you were in like a village with like 50 people, how much corruption theoretically could be possible, in that village, in that small village. Well, there could be zero corruption. If you have a good small community with people that do their job, that provide other people with value, you could have a community with zero corruption. But the more people you add, the larger it becomes. It gets to a point where it's impossible for there not to be corruption. So I believe the smaller you go, the better. But there are drawbacks on both sides. But the only way to avoid the corruption is to shrink. Like there's going to be corruption the bigger you go. So it's kind of a complex problem. So I try not to solve it. I just do what's best for me as an individual. Invest into Bitcoin, move to a different location that's best for me as an individual, and I don't try and focus on these giant problems that I can't solve. But thank you for your comment. I appreciate that. Have you about your personal safety, thought about your personal safety for putting your face on the internet and revealing your BTC stack? Yeah, so I have a multi-sig setup, so if someone were to break into my house, they wouldn't I wouldn't be able to give them any Bitcoin, okay? Like there has to be multiple signatures. So I can't just I can't give them my Bitcoin because they would need the other signatures that are in different geographic locations. But they could attack me though. So yeah, there is some level of risk, but I take security very seriously. And like I said earlier, I'm trying to pursue something meaningful. I can't just sit and do nothing all day because that will drive me crazy. So there is a certain level of risk, but I've accepted that. I'll take security seriously and just continue to do my best in making sure I stay safe. But that's all I can do. I thank you for your comment, for looking out for me. And I'll move on to the next one. This person said guns and ammo will help. Yeah, in certain situations, if someone does, if someone does break into your house, yeah, that tends to help. But you want to try and avoid that situation. Like you don't want to be left with that type of situation. Because that's not a good situation there. But yeah, for sure, if it's if it would help. If someone is attacking you, yes, that would help. And then this person said, but thank you for your comment. This person said, the real question is how can we know that can we know how fast everyone else sorry, the real question is how can we know how fast everyone else will trade their real estate or other assets for Bitcoin? Maybe once over 50% of all big asset holders are completely exhausted to where they are breaking even or barely winning, only to look around and realize they have been losing the Bitcoin. Then you will see a fire sale because the last guy to sell his assets gets the least for his, while the people who sell first make out like bandits. Okay, I would say this. There are other assets that have value. Have owning a house is value. Owning collectibles are value. Even owning like a car is value. Like there are other things that have value. I just believe that there needs to be a global monetary network, and so I believe that Bitcoin will uh is the safest possible investment with the highest possible returns. But you did say something kind of interesting in here is that people will kind of people will start to realize like Bitcoin will continue to rise. Like in my opinion, Bitcoin's going to continue to rise. So you're going to have people that see Bitcoin rise, year after year, year after year, year after year. Maybe one year it's a down year, but over like 10, 20 years, you're going to have people that sit back and do nothing and just see Bitcoin outrun their asset, and they're going to be viewing it as Bitcoin going up. But the reality is that it might just be that like fiat currency is obviously going down, but people will just view that as Bitcoin going up. And so instead of a house costing like 7 Bitcoin, or sorry, like 5 Bitcoin, eventually their house is going to cost 1 Bitcoin, and then maybe their house will cost 0.5 Bitcoin. So people don't think of it like that. People don't think of Bitcoin as the unit of the account. They think of it as just as an investment. But I believe over a long period of time, more people will start to visualize Bitcoin as the unit of account. Like, how much does this cost in Bitcoin? And then 5 years from now, oh, how much does it cost now? Oh, it costs less. How much does it cost now after 10 years? It costs less. Like, Bitcoin will start to become the unit of account, but people won't even realize it. They'll just see the price of it going up and they'll just think, oh, the asset's going up. But it will be kind of funny though. But thank you thank you for your comment. I'll read it over again. I would say that yes, there might be some people that sell their assets, like you say here. Then you will see a fire sale, but you have to remember that like real estate does have value. So like obviously there's going to be people that not everyone's going to sell all their assets for Bitcoin. Like the only reason Bitcoin has value is because there's infrastructure within our society. There's houses, roads, there's people, there's businesses. So everything in our society complements everything else. Like without a car, the roads would be useless. Okay, without without nature, then or sorry, without animals, then nature would be kind of all messed up. Like everything complements each other. Okay, so you have to think of it like that. Like Bitcoin isn't, like the best investment. The only reason it might appear to be the best investment is because we live in a society with all these other things that complement each other. Imagine if it was just white space and the only thing you had was a gold bar. It's like, okay, that's completely useless. So everything in our society, all the assets, all the people, it all complements each other and gives value back to everything else. Okay, I want you to think of it like that. Like there's no one thing that's this thing is better than that thing or this thing is better than that thing. Everything just complements each other, giving each other more value. Without this thing, it wouldn't be as valuable without this thing. So that's just how I view it. But thanks for your comment. Okay, now I'm gonna go to how much money I made from my chess YouTube channel on May 12th. $16.49. So like when you least expect it, boom, you start making a little bit more money. Like that's how it is. Be consistent over a long period of time. Because I didn't think I was gonna make any money on May 12th, and then boom, out of nowhere, it just goes up. So that's why you got to be consistent over a long period of time. Now I'm gonna go into this question. Okay, is Bitcoin the opposite of fiat currency? I'll let you guys think about that. Okay, time's up. In my opinion, the answer is yes. I believe that fiat currency is obviously gets debased by the government, so it's basically kind of a scam. And I believe that the opposite of a scam is something that is just, something that is fair for everyone. And so basically, this question, it's an easy question. Okay, is Bitcoin the opposite of fiat currency? Yes. Okay. Now let's take it a step farther. Okay. What happens if we move on to a Bitcoin standard? Let's say hypothetically, 100 years from now, we're on a Bitcoin standard. Okay. Are all of the financial instruments, everything that we know about money, fiat currency, is everything going to work the same if we're on a Bitcoin standard, and Bitcoin, we just clarified, is the opposite of fiat currency? Is everything that we do in this current society going to work in this society? No, it's going to be the opposite. Okay, once you understand that, so saving money, instead of it going down, it's going to go up. Instead of there's another example I thought of. Instead of going to a store and prices are rising, it's going to go down. But those are just basic examples that I'm giving you. There are more advanced examples, and I believe that if you view it from a perspective of what is the opposite, like if you like look at like kind of advanced financial instruments, maybe like Stretch from Strategies company. If you look at like that, like how would Stretch be different if we were on a Bitcoin standard? Now I don't have the answers, but basically what I'm saying is that if you're on a Bitcoin standard, Bitcoin is the opposite of fiat currency. So our entire understanding of money, of fiat currency that we have, reverse it, because now it's the opposite. Okay, so I want you guys to think about that, because it becomes more complex, because like it's literally the opposite. So your understanding of money, I want you to change it and reverse everything that you thought you knew about money, because now we're in a new system. So yeah, think about that. Think about that, bud. This is what Gemini said. Bitcoin is fundamentally the opposite of fiat currency because it operates through a decentralized mathematically capped protocol rather than a centralized system of government mandated issuance and elastic supply. That's actually a fairly good answer. I was not surprised that it was just gonna say that. So I agree I like that answer. That's a good answer. Okay, now I'm gonna go into the donations. So I have a QR code. If you want to donate to me, you can donate. Here are a couple test transactions here by me, but this person sent me BTC. Well, he sent me 6,767 sats. So whoever you are, you're a legend. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You're an absolute legend. And then this person sent 1300 sats. You're an absolute legend. Both of you guys are absolute legends. And I clicked into this one here, and you left a little note that says from Snookivis. I have no idea how to pronounce that, but you're an absolute legend, okay? An absolute legend. I don't think this guy left a note in here. I don't think there's any. Yeah, there's no note in here, but both of you, absolute legends. If you guys, send me a donation, you can leave a little note or whatever, and I'll try and read them. But yeah, thank you guys for your donations. It means a lot, and I hope everything goes well for you guys. Okay. And then now I'm gonna go into the monetization for my ROM investing. I need to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm at 197, and I need 4,000 watch hours within 365 days. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe so I can accomplish this goal of monetizing my Bitcoin. Once I monetize this channel, I'm basically monetizing my Bitcoin, because when I post a video, I make money, and then with that money, invest that back into Bitcoin. And then I own more Bitcoin, so more people want to watch the videos. So if more people want to watch the videos, then I make more money. So it's like a circular effect. And, like that could be a unique idea. I'm not saying that this is going to work 100%, but I think it's a unique idea. But thank you guys for watching. I don't have anything else to say for today, so I'll see you in the next one.